Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're going to dig into something that quietly dictates almost every single choice we make, the traditional life script. It's kind of this unspoken set of rules that society just hands us about money, careers, and success. But here's the thing. For most of us, this exact script is the very thing holding us back financially. So we're going to break down the psychology of making money by unlearning 4 massive societal myths. All right, to kick things off, I want you to really think about this for a second. What is the actual point of school? Now, if you ask most people, they'll probably give you a noble answer, right? Like, oh, it's about getting an education or becoming a well-rounded person. But if you keep pressing them, asking why we actually need good grades or why we go to college, the default societal answer eventually just boils down to one thing: to land a good, secure job. And while that brings us right to the core problem, doing everything right by society's standards often teaches us the exact wrong things about how money is actually made. And listen, I want to be super clear right from the jump here. If you hold these limiting financial beliefs, it is absolutely not your fault. This is just the cultural water we're all swimming in. It seeps into our lives from day one. But if you want to become financially free, it's time to unlearn it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. We'll cover the great money unlearning, redefining how money is made, why sales equals service, the internet is your classroom, and finally, rethinking risk and reward. All right, part 1, the great money unlearning. We've got to contrast those outdated schooling mindsets with the true models of wealth creation. Which brings us right to part 2, redefining how money is made. So, to actually build wealth, we have to completely shatter this massive myth we're all taught, that having a job equals making money. I mean, think about it. If someone doesn't have a job, society panics. People ask, wait, how are you surviving? But while a job is certainly one vehicle to make money, it completely misses the true economic equation of wealth. The reality is a totally different equation. Money equals value created multiplied by the percentage of value captured. Once you understand this formula, it literally changes everything. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding what value actually means. Value is simply solving a problem, alleviating pain, or just giving someone what they want. Money is merely the exchange for that value. For example, let's say a salesperson brings in $200,000 of revenue for their company in a single month. Wow! They created $200,000 worth of value. But they don't get to keep all of that, do they? As an employee, they might only capture, say, a 10% commission, meaning they take home 20 grand. The business owner, who took on the heavy lifting of building the whole company, captures a much higher percentage. You have to create the value first, for sure, but your actual wealth depends on how much of it you are positioned to capture. And this brilliantly illustrates just how quantifiable value is in the real world. You might think some things, like human life, are just completely priceless, right? Like you can't put them into a value equation. But every sensible healthcare system in the world has a hard number. In the UK's National Health Service, for example, the state is willing to pay roughly $65,000 to extend a human life by 1 year of good quality. If a treatment costs way more than that for 1 year, they generally won't cover it. I know, it feels a little uncomfortable to talk about, but it proves the point perfectly. Absolutely everything in our economy has a quantifiable value. Let's keep moving. Part 3, why sales equals service. Now we're tackling the immense discomfort, and I know we almost all feel it, around the whole concept of selling. We've got this deeply ingrained myth that sales are sleazy, scary, and adversarial. When we think of sales, we immediately picture, a shady used car salesman or that super aggressive sell me this pen energy from the Wolf of Wall Street. We feel like we're just bludgeoning someone into handing over their cash. But in reality, true commerce functions on win-win situations. At its core, sales equals service. To totally demystify this, let's just look at a simple morning coffee run. The customer gives $3 and they get their morning coffee and the happiness that comes with it. The coffee shop gives the coffee and they get $3 and the happiness of making a profit. There's no coercion here. There are no threats. It is a perfect mutual win-win. Both parties walk away genuinely happier than they were before. And that is what true sales looks like. I really want you to keep this simple phrase in mind. When you are selling something, you are merely making an offer. That's literally it. You aren't forcing anyone. Imagine someone spends years researching and writing this fantastic productivity book, and then they offer it for sale for $10. They're just saying, hey, I made this. It might help you. You can buy it if you want, but you absolutely don't have to. If the buyer gets value from it, awesome. If not, they just scroll past. Treating sales as a simple offer just completely strips away all that fear and sleaze. Let's move to and see how this builds into part 4. The internet is your classroom.
So how do we actually acquire the high-income skills needed to create value in the first place? Well, the school system feeds us this massive myth that if you want to learn a worthwhile skill, you must get formal institutional training. You need a university degree, a community college course, or some expensive gatekeeper to grant you a shiny certificate. But the modern reality? It's vastly different. Today, high-value skills, things like coding, copywriting, digital marketing, AI automation, they are completely ungatekept. They are self-taught via the internet. Now, sure, if you want to be a neurosurgeon, yes, please go to formal medical school. But for like 99% of the skills that can make you wealthy today, you literally don't need anyone's permission to start learning.
And honestly, it's kind of funny because even in the fields that do require formal training, the internet is still doing the heavy lifting. Look at how top medical students, we're talking at prestigious universities like Cambridge or Harvard, actually learn. Are they sitting in stuffy lecture halls absorbing all the knowledge from a professor? Actually, no. They are searching YouTube for medical physiology videos. They're downloading free PDFs linked in the video descriptions. They're watching tutorials on how to do cardiovascular exams and then just practicing on their friends in their dorms. If future doctors are utilizing YouTube to learn how to examine your heart, you can absolutely use it to learn a high-income skill on your weekends.
Which brings us to our final pillar, Part 5, Rethinking Risk and Reward.
This tackles the final and, honestly, probably the most paralyzing myth of all, the one that prevents so many brilliant people from taking control of their financial destiny. The myth here is that business and investing are inherently massive gambles. We all have that story of an uncle who bet his entire life savings on a random stock in the 70s and lost everything. And because we equate money with our basic survival and security, the mere idea of risking it just fills us with absolute dread. But the reality is that wealth is built through calculated, highly manageable actions. It's not that business itself is risky, it's that building risky businesses is risky. Let's look at investing first. If you take your life savings and dump it into one random stock a buddy told you about at a party, yeah, no way. That is incredibly stupid and risky. But if you practice smart investing, meaning spreading your money across broad index funds that represent the top 500 or 5,000 companies in the world, and just leaving it there over the long term, history shows that is an incredibly safe way to grow wealth. It is not a casino if you're actually playing the long game. And you know what? The exact same logic applies to starting a business. You don't have to take some crazy moonshot gamble. You don't need to take 50 grand in savings, hunt down a factory, manufacture 10,000 recycled tote bags, and just pray to the universe someone buys them. That's a terrible idea. Instead, follow a structured path. Step 1, validate your idea before you spend a single dime. Step 2, start a service-based business where your overhead is basically zero, literally just your time and a laptop. Step 3, gradually control more of the value you capture. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to mean betting the farm. No, what's really interesting about this is what society actually considers safe. The ultimate risk isn't starting a little side hustle. The ultimate risk is having a single income job. I mean, really think about it. When you are an employee, your entire financial situation is controlled by a manager, a CEO, or some corporate restructuring that is completely outside of your control. Your income could be shut off overnight, zero. But when you have your own business or multiple freelance clients, sure, you might lose one client, but you have the visibility and the control to pivot. You are the one calling the shots. Which brings us right to our final and maybe most important thought for today. When you see someone making an offer, do you judge them or do you take notes? The next time someone offers you a product or pitches a service online, monitor your own internal reaction. Do you get resentful and think, sales is so sleazy? Because if you hold on to that negative judgment, you will subconsciously sabotage your very own ability to make money. I challenge you to drop the judgment, start taking notes on exactly how value is created and captured, and embrace these new realities to build your own financial freedom. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.